Nick, does strength training increase your speed?
That's a good question, and yes, it does. First, I'm going to talk about what exactly running is, and that is your stride length times your stride rate. Stride length is how long your steps are while running, and your stride rate is how many steps you take until you get to that destination needed. And if you're sprinting in a sport like football, or if you have a short distance race in track, that utilizes the ATP PCR system. And that's like your carb storage units. Like if I were a running back and I were to make like a 50-60 yard break for a touchdown, that would utilize the ATP PCR system. It's also easily replenished with things like Gatorade. Now if I'm a long distance runner, that uses the aerobic energy system. So people that like to run 5Ks and marathons and such like that, it mainly uses like your fat storage, and it utilizes some oxidative system, which is like the intake of oxygen. So it'll use oxygen, can make ATP in your body, and it can use oxygen as well. And depending on what kind of running you want to do, if you want to do the short distance running or the long distance running, it depends on what kind of resistance training you should actually do. Now, if you're doing the short distance, you want to use more explosive lifts, more heavier stuff that you can come out of the hole fast in. So if you're short distance, you should use reps that are like eight reps and lower. I mean, you can always switch it up, but it's best to stay in that lower range and being explosive in the hole. So if I'm doing hang cleans, which is a very explosive lift, it'll help you with that first initial step. It'll help you with that first initial burst out of the hole until you plateau into your main speed. And with the long distance running, it would be better to use reps of eight reps and higher. So if I'm squatting, I'm gonna want to do at least 8 reps of lower weight, so then your legs won't die out on you while you're running that 5K or running that marathon. And resistance bands are also something that is great used for short distance running. So if I'm trying to sprint, I can use the resistance band. I could have a partner with me holding the band back while I'm in the good forward lean, pumping my arms and legs, knees high, and I'm recreating that sprint with more resistance, so then when you actually sprint and you take off without a band, it'll be faster. It'll be a faster takeoff and a faster into that plateau of your highest speed.
Where does overtraining come in?
That's also a good question. Overtraining is something that hurts a lot of collegiate athletes because coaches don't really know how to give them a break depending on which school you're at and how educated the athletic trainers are there. So overtraining is basically when you don't give your body enough rest. You know how whenever you work out and you're feeling good, you got that good, you're bumping up a lot of weight or you're losing a lot of weight, and then you plateau for a while and you can come back up. Overtraining happens whenever you don't give your body enough rest. So if I were to train 7 days a week for, I don't know, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, that third week, my body would be completely drained. I would be dead. I wouldn't want to lift. My motivation would be gone. Like, there's a lot of good benefits to lifting weights and exercise, but if you overtrain, that'll just end up hurting you in being productive in your systems. And overtraining also has to do with stuff like your diet. So if I were to eat, I don't know, greasy food all day and try to exercise, you would feel like complete garbage. You know, you wouldn't be able to. You would feel heavy. You wouldn't want to move. And also, if you're overeating, you're gonna feel bloated. You're not gonna want to work out. You're gonna want to stay in bed and sleep. And depending on what you eat, depends on if you have any strength gains or if you have any like speed speed gains. So if you're under eating, if I were to only eat one chicken breast and a scoop of white rice every night, I would obviously not be getting the nutritional value that I needed. That would ultimately slow me down. It'll probably hurt me just as much as overtraining, because I wouldn't be making any type of gains. I wouldn't be refueling my body with what I needed. And that has to do with, if you're sprinting, you know, you use more of your carbs that are stored in your body. Carbs is it's quick energy for your body. So if I were to eat, you hear the verse, carbo load before an event. Like most sports teams, they'll have a team dinner with like something like pasta and like a lot of bread. Well, if eating too much of that will make you tired, but if you eat the right amount, your body will have the good sources needed with that. And long distances uses your fat stores. And depending on who you are and how long you've been long distance running, depends on how much fat you have in your body. So if you've been doing long distance running for a long time, you're not going to have very much fat on your body. Mm. But if you still have that good diet and you have that good calorie intake, you can run for as long as you need. Well, not for as long as you need, but you can run without feeling depleted of your energy. You can run until you get to that place that you need. And does that answer all your questions?
Yeah, that's a lot of great information.
All right. Thank you.